smartphone partnership, I think is probably the best word for it. Sony have developed hardware, a new smartphone called allegedly Xperia. Again, this is going off a lot of rumour, a lot of second-hand articles. So we think we know details of it, but the reality might be a little bit different. It's basically an Android running phone that has a pull-out keypad, which basically is a PlayStation. Now people are suggesting that it's going to be a PSP and it's going to be the use of the PSP technology, because people that are aware of the handheld console market know that the DS managed to sort of dominate that area. The PSP didn't particularly make a mark on that. So people are suggesting that maybe it's the new home for PlayStation Portable and its technology. And it's running off Android, so it's a nice little partnership there in regard that it's got an established applications base, and it's a well-respected platform used by millions and millions of people. So really, I was just going to throw that over to you, Roy. Are you impressed by a PlayStation phone?
One thing that happens, you mentioned DS, but one thing that Nintendo's been saying since around November repeatedly is that the main competition it has is Apple, and not anything else. And that's increasingly the case. You're used to hearing about Microsoft being the elephant in the room when you approach things like, phones or desktops. I think desktop is mainly especially business desktops, is the only area where it's really hard to challenge Microsoft. Increasingly in the server room, because of course you have lots of substitutes, mail servers, web servers, etc. But when it comes to consoles, it's becoming more of a fight between Linux and Apple, just like in normal phones. In consoles, when you talk about a console or a handheld, I should say a portable, a handheld console, it's basically like a phone. It's just a computer with a small processor, and just like most of them, they get smaller and smaller, and they get better in terms of performance. And then you have things like games that you get from repositories. You can download things instead of using all sorts of cassettes or whatever you used to be using. And not just the future. And DS is struggling because they don't have a very good platform. I think they have something that works reasonably well, but some people will say, well, for the same price you could buy a phone and also get the shop that has lots and lots of games in it. An Android, of course, can do that. Just about any Android phone can play these games. But I think Sony is using its patents and all kinds of things to do its controller and also the brand recognition. So when you actually use something that looks like a PlayStation, you can actually get access to certain games that Sony is boasting. So
there's massive question marks over what it's going to be, and it is still, unless there's been a new article pop up in the last couple of hours I'm not aware of. UMD, will it support that, and if so, how? Will it have its own application app store for the PlayStation titles? Will it be playing PSX titles, or will it be playing something else? I mean, there's so many different rumours about what it will and won't be. Just out of interest, it's running for the Snapdragon 1 gigahertz processor, Android 2.3. Again, this is all just guesswork or claims from other people, and 1 gigabyte of memory. And that's basically all they know about it.
What happened to Milo? There used to be one called Milo, and I think that was also from Sony, and it was supposed to be based on Linux, but more of a, I suppose, Monte Vista or something like that.
I wouldn't. That doesn't ring many bells to me. But I mean, what I would say, Roy, this was my sort of opinion. I completely agree with your line about the Android and Apple being sort of the competitors for gaming, portable gaming. I mean, what I notice is that people want as few items in their pockets as possible. I don't think anybody sees the idea of a gaming console in one pocket and a phone in the other as being a desirable solution, and would rather have something all in one. I think Android certainly has the facility and the software to equally challenge on an entertainment level Nintendo DS.
Have you seen the new Motorola that's actually connecting to a laptop from the back, and then actually projects the desktop that's supposed to be well, you probably have to see the video to know how it works, but the thing is they try to combine a portable computer with a phone, and the phone is supposed to do the tethering and everything else that's necessary for you to work on a laptop, which just made me think, oh, that's like the Folio, that's the Palm Folio, which they didn't release. which combines your phone with your portable, small kind of foldable computer, and that's really a nice thing.
Well, I mean, looking at the.
Sorry,
Go
I've had a bizarre link come into my head and a bizarre image come into my head, and I'm going to try and lay this out while it's still sort of bubbling about. I imagined, first of all, if Steve Ballmer is, bear with me, it will make sense, and it is connected. I wonder if Steve Ballmer is a fan of Jerry Rafferty. Because what I'm thinking is he's looking at this whole Windows empire and thinking he's seen this news about Sony doing an Android phone and a PSP combined thing, and they're stuck in the middle with U-lines coming to his head thinking, Google on the left of me, Apple on the right of me, and here I am stuck in the middle with you, with Windows. And he's looking, and there's nothing he can do. Apple are hammering him on one side, Google are hammering him on the other. And now he's reading the news about Sony bringing an Android phone that's got another console, and he's thinking, we were thinking about going into the console, the handheld games market. We were hoping to get to use Live as a link for people to buy our phones, and now Sony come in and do a PSP. Or a game. I mean, come on, play fair, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I just thought I'd finish that off by saying the reason that came to mind was Jerry Rafferty died a few days ago, so about a week ago or something. So R.I.P. Jerry Rafferty. So go on.
No, I mean, just thanks for what I was going to say. Just to finish off, the question I was sort of posing was, do we think this is a successful combination? And I was saying that, people, I presume, would see one device in their pockets as more desirable than two. I think Nintendo have seen that their competition is the Apple and Android, and that's why we've got the DS 3D or 3DS on the horizon, which is going to offer something new. And I think until the smartphone catches up with something similar or just as appealing, I think maybe a lot of users will have two items in their pockets. But I mean, it's certainly a nice idea. I'm certainly pleased to see Sony have introduced it with Android. I think if they'd gone for their own platform and made it from scratch, if you will, like the Windows Phone 7, I think it would have. I don't think it would have succeeded. I think we've got to a stage now where people either choose Apple or Android. Yeah, exactly.
It's also slower to do.
I mean, it'd be very hypocritical of me to say that I would think the Sony smartphone on its own operating system would be a success, because I think this is a reason why Windows Phone 7 isn't going to be a success, for the exact reason that we've got Android and Apple.
Sorry, Roy. I was trying to get a point across before about the main difference between the situation. There is a situation with the Kin and Windows Phone 7. One is a platform and one is a phone. And the phone tends to obviously have a platform, but the platform is built to a specific phone, with a specific phone in mind, and it's kind of built hand in glove, and everything's supposed to work just fine. But there is also something to say here about the main difference between Android and iPhone as far as Microsoft is concerned. iPhone is not, actually everything from Apple is always delivered by Apple. They always build it's a gadgets company more. Even their computers are being branded Apple, and you have to buy them from Apple or from one of the companies that work with Apple as a channel partner. But the thing with Android, Microsoft is very much used to having those companies like Dell and HP, and used to be Gateway, and all kinds of companies selling the computers, and everybody would have to go to Microsoft to sell their computers. And now all these companies are starting to negotiate with this company called Google, and they have this thing called Android, which of course uses Linux. And Microsoft is kind of running a bit scared, because these companies using so much free software on their phones, they get the momentum now. They have a big user base. They have as far as I know, over 100,000 applications, which used to be the selling point of Windows, having lots of applications. But for Microsoft to compete with Apple, it's very simple, because they have to compete with one company and one set of phones, or one main phone that has a line of generations, the iPhone 1 and 2 and 3, whatever. With Android, basically Microsoft has to run to all of its partners, companies like Asus, and beg them to put Windows on one of the laptops, on one of the tablets. And this company will probably reluctantly do that because they already have to be nice to Microsoft so that